أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم مثلهم كمثل الذي استوقد نارا فلما أضاءت ما حوله ذهب الله بنورهم وتركهم في ظلمات لا يبصرون صم بكم عمي فهم لا يرجعون أو كصيب من السماء فيه ظلمات ورعد وبرق يجعلون أصابعهم في آذانهم من الصواعق حذر الموت والله محيط بالكافرين يكاد البرق يخطف أبصارهم كلما أضاء لهم مشوا فيه وإذا أظلم عليهم قاموا ولو شاء الله لذهب بسمعهم وأبصارهم إن الله على كل شيء قدير صدق الله العظيم. Dear brothers and sisters, viewers, this is surah al-baqarah, where initially Allah has explained to us the characteristics of believers. First of all, Allah explained to us the subject of Quran and the absoluteness of Quran, and then He explained to us the characteristics of muttaqeen, for whom the Quran has sent down on the heart of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then He explained to us the characteristic that hypocrites adopted in order to gain some worldly benefits, and pagans of Makkah and Jews on whom Allah has put the seal and put the stamp, so they are not going to return to the path of Allah. For them there is a painful punishment in the day of judgment. And Allah has explained to us those attributions of munafiqeen, of hypocrites, that they try to deceive believers and companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they always use those tactics to deceive companions and to deceive Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they even tried one or two times to, ma'azallah, kill Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also. But Allah knows all. He is the best knower. And He, in the end, explained to us that أولئك الذين اشتروا الضلالة بالهدى فما ربحت تجارتهم وما كانوا مهتدين. That they are those idolaters, those pagans of Mecca, and those hypocrites and Jews, everybody out there in the atmosphere of Mecca who are enemies of Islam, who are staunchest enemies of companions and as well as Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They all, absolutely all, actually purchased the path of error on the path of guidance. So their business and their trade is not successful. They chose the wrong track and wrong path, and they are not well directed and they are not guided. And then Allah gave us an example, a parable, and He said, "Masaluhum kamasali alladhi istawqada nara." The example is of someone who lit up a fire, who illuminated a fire. فَلَمَّا أَضَاءَتْ مَا حَوْلَهُ ذَهَبَ اللَّهُ بِنُورِهِمْ. When the fire illuminated and lit his surrounding, ذَهَبَ اللَّهُ بِنُورِهِمْ, Allah has taken away of their nur, of their lights, and وَتَرَكَهُمْ فِي ظُلُمَاتٍ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ, and left them in the darkness where they do not see anything. صُمٌّ بُكْمٌ عُمْيٌ فَهُمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ. So they become deaf, dumb and blind. لَا يَرْجِعُونَ, and they are not going to return to the path of Allah, to the path of virtue. So that is the condition of those staunchest enemies of Islam were called munafiqeen, hypocrites. They pretend Islam, and they pretend Islam to gain some worldly benefits, to deceive companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they conceal something else in their hearts. They conceal shirk, they conceal, bad ideas against Islam and against the companions and against the Prophet himself. So basically, they are deaf and they are dumb and they are blind. Someone basically means someone who is unable to hear the word of truth, and Bukmun is someone who is unable to utter the words of truth, and Umyun is someone who is absolutely blind and unable to see truth and the path of guidance. So basically, they are not physically dumb, they are not physically blind, they are not physically deaf. Their hearts become deaf, their hearts become dumb, their hearts become blind, their hearts cannot see the truth, their hearts cannot utter the truth, their hearts cannot hear the truth. So their heart basically become deaf, dumb and blind. As on another occasion Allah has clearly said, فَإِنَّهَا لَا تَعْمَى الْأَبْصَارِ وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَى الْقُلُوبُ الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ. It is not the eyes that become, blind. It is hearts that become blind. فَإِنَّهَا لَا تَعْمَى الْأَبْصَارِ وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَى الْقُلُوبِ. It is hearts that become blind. الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ, that is in the chest, in the breast of every person. And once hearts become blind, and when hearts started, deceiving yourself, because if someone try to deceive the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if someone try to deceive Prophet himself, so he is actually deceiving himself. And he is actually taking himself away from the right track. He is actually taking himself away from the path of Jannah, from the path of ultimate success. So that is his loss. That is not the loss of Prophet. That is not the loss of companions. That is one thing we need to understand. And then Allah has given us another parable, another example of those who are hesitant between the path of error and the path of guidance. And Allah gave us an example that أَوْ كَصَيِّبٍ مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ فِي ظُلُمَاتٌ وَرَعْدٌ وَبَرْقٌ, or like a rainstorm in the sky, where that rainstorm brings darkness, thunder and lightning. يَجْعَلُونَ أَصَابِعَهُمْ فِي آذَانِهِمْ مِنَ الصَّوَاعِقِ حَذْرَ الْمَوْتِ. So they keep their fingers in their ears, in order to avoid those thunderbolts out of the fear of death. But the truth is, Wallahu muhitun bil kafirin, Allah encompasses them. Allah ever encompasses them, encompasses the disbelievers. They cannot avoid the anger of Allah. They cannot avoid the punishment of Allah once Allah decided to punish them. And once Allah decided to show His anger. And يَكَادُ الْبَرْقُ يَخْطَفُ أَبْصَارَهُمْ كُلَّمَا أَضَاءَ لَهُمْ مَشَوْا فِيهِ. The light is about to snatch their sides. كُلَّمَا أَضَاءَ لَهُمْ مَشَوْا فِيهِ. Whenever it flashes for them, they walk in, and when it becomes dark, they stand still. وَلَوْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ لَذَهَبَ بِسَمْعِهِمْ وَأَبْصَارِهِمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ. If Allah had willed, He could have taken away their hearing and their sights, because in Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir, verily Allah has power over all things. Allah is the powerful over all things. So He basically gave us an example of those people who are actually hesitant between to deciding between the path of error and the path of guidance. To us, those are not actually munafiqeen and hypocrites. In the first parable, in the first example, where Allah said, مَثَلُهُمْ كَمَثَلِ الَّذِي اسْتَوْقَدَ نَارًا فَلَمَّا أَضَاءَتْ مَا حَوْلَهُ ذَهَبَ اللَّهُ بِنُورِهِمْ وَتَرَكَهُمْ فِي ظُلُمَاتٍ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. And then Allah has absolutely announced that they are deaf and dumb and blind. They are not going to return to the path of Allah. Those people are actually munafiqeen and hypocrites. Those are disbelievers. Those people decided the path of error instead of path of guidance. So Allah has put a seal on their hearts. Allah has put a stamp on their hearts. Allah has put a lock on their hearts. So those people are not going to return to the path of Allah. And then the other category of those hesitant people who are hesitant to decide whether to accept Islam or whether to accept idolatry or gain some worldly benefits in this world. So they are basically hesitant. And the I just saw a video, and that video actually gave me a hint of firm belief, of firm iman. I saw a video that is going so viral, you know, and that video was, I think, from Syria, where uh, a child was hanging on the sixth or seventh floor on a broken wall, and the earthquake was happened, in Syria and Turkey. I saw that video that his father was, right standing on the road, and he was watching his son, and his son was hanging on fifth or sixth floor on a broken wall, and he was shouting for help. And his father was absolutely, clueless, and he was not aware what to do. So instead of being shattered and scattered and overwhelmed by the situation, he, reminded his son to call out Allah. He reminded his son to call Allah, to remember Allah, and he said, "Qul la ilaha illallah wal Muhammadur Rasulullah." Say La ilaha illallah, say Muhammadur Rasulullah, say that there is no one to be worshipped except Allah, and Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last messenger of Allah. That was the words of a father who was watching his son is about to die. And when I saw that video for the first time, I literally feel goosebumps, and I literally feel that is the peak of iman. That is actually iman. When a father is watching his son that is about to die, and in that the most difficult period of his life, in that the most difficult moment of his life, he did not forget Allah. He did not forget his belief, and he reminded his son to call Allah and to say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. So anything that can push us closer to Allah, that can get us closer to Allah, that is a blessing of Allah. Even if a test or trial can get you closer to Allah, can push you towards Allah, drive you towards Allah, that is a blessing. And even if a bounty that looked like a bounty, I mean, a lot of money, a lot of dollars if a lot of dollars can push you away from Allah, a lot of dollars can drive you away from Allah, that cannot be a bounty, that cannot be a blessing of Allah. A true blessing of Allah is something that can get you closer to Allah, that can drive you towards Allah. And when I saw that video for the first time, I feel that test, the hardest test, maybe the hardest trial in his life, because everybody is going to go through the difficult patches in his life, as Allah absolutely announced, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. Allah said, verily we are going to test you, we are going to try you, something with starvation, something with fear of life, fear to lose the benefits. There are a lot of things that Allah has put on us to test us, to try us. But if we pass that test, if we pass that trial, it can become a blessing. And even if Allah gives someone a lot of money and a lot of children, a lot of power, and he fail and he adapt he adapt the path of error, then these things or these so-called bounties cannot be blessing of Allah. So those people who gain a lot of benefits in this world, and they think that, and they assume that they had everything, but they are away from Allah, so they basically purchase the path of error instead of path of guidance. So this business is not successful. If someone is not well directed, if someone is not well guided, is not blessed. The blessed person is someone, even if he is in a danger of his life, if even he is put in the test and trial, but he believes firmly in Allah, so he is basically enjoying blessings, and he is going to, inshallah, enter into Jannah. That is the ultimate life. May Allah grant us Jannah. May Allah grant those who suffered in Turkey and in Syria the ultimate place of Jannah. All those who were killed, and all those who are wounded and under the demolished constructions, may Allah save them, and who dead, may Allah grant them the highest place in Jannah, inshallah. They are passing that tests and they're passing that trial, and Jannah is waiting for them, inshallah. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.